I'll try to check if we have any questions. Let me then read the question from Jirka, I believe. E-auctions are really shortening the process in repeatedly done tenders, not necessarily the same thing, like for facility CAPEX or FMCG in many categories. So yeah, if those are repeatedly done, I agree with that. Yeah, that's true. But then again, that means because it's repeatedly done, that means the whole process of evaluation of suppliers has been done already sometime in the past, and then you can just copy paste. So in the long term, yes, I agree, this would shorten the process, that suppliers would also get to know the tool itself, the process, how it works, what the e-auction really is, and that would shorten your time. Fully agree with this one. However, in the if you would just take standalone project, this would never happen. Well, let me read the other one from Jirka, I believe, or I'm not sure if I pronounced it well. Your name. E-auction is not necessarily to be a final round in negotiation. In case you just want to shortlist suppliers and then run negotiations with them, e-auction can be declared as not final round, but it must be announced beforehand. So I wouldn't call it then the e-auction, just to make sure, because, well, yeah, you can say so, right? You can say so, but then what's the point of running the e-auction? It would be, you know, it would be if suppliers know that this is just to collect the bids and have the pre-qualified suppliers, what would they give their very best in that round? I mean, I can imagine a situation where you can, for example, run RFP with the rank, and then you would tell suppliers that 3 with the lowest price would continue to the next round, or 4 with the lowest price would continue to the next round. And then they would only quote to be the 4th. And why would they give their best shot in this one? So yeah, I can imagine that you can run the RFP with feedback, with the ranking display to suppliers, and with information that depends on the rank. They will go to the next round. However, I'm a big fan of preparing everything and button up to the level where the e-auction is absolutely final, because that gives the extra push, that gives the extra motivation and incentive to suppliers to give their very best in that e-auction, and that's exactly what we want them to do. So yeah, that is just my comment, and that is also my those are also my experiences. Has anyone researched what gives better financial results, e-auctions or traditional negotiation? Nope, I don't know. I mean, I have never seen a research like that, and the reason for it is because we cannot have in parallel realities. So it's always super difficult to compare results if we don't know what would happen if we run the e-auction or what would happen if we have face-to-face negotiation. But what I can tell you for sure is that e-auction gives extra possibilities which you wouldn't have, of tactics that you can use, which you wouldn't be able to in your face-to-face negotiation. For example, let's say we have 3 products where one product can only be delivered by one supplier, but the remaining 2 could be delivered easily by all 3 suppliers participating in a tender. So that one supplier which is lucky enough to be have monopoly on the single product, that supplier knows that they can charge high prices, but then they have competition on number 2, number 3. If you would negotiate face to face, that would obviously pops up. But then when you run the e-auction, what you can do, well, let's say, and that's a product that, well, let's say this product is a monopoly, sort of, but then the other suppliers, they have substitutes which are not good enough, or maybe good enough, but for any intellectual property reasons or marketing reasons or branding reasons or any other reason, you cannot use them. So but still the other 2 suppliers can propose a substitute. So what you can do, you can run an e-auction for all those 3 items together, and then you can tell that the winner will be awarded minimum 60% of the business, and the runner-up will be awarded maximum 40% of the business. And that means, and this is what you can do. And then if you have 3 suppliers in the race, what you can trigger in the e-auction that only the first one sees that its rank, and the second one, third, they don't know their rank, they don't know their position. And in that way, you can create a competitive environment for that single supplier with this monopoly situation on one item. That if that would create sort of environment and motivation and incentive for that supplier to quote lower on all the basket, on all those 3 items which are in the basket, and the ranking and the feedback is on the total basket and not on the individual items. So, this is one of the things which you can do with the e-auctions, but it wouldn't be possible to do in face-to-face. I mean, after all, suppliers, they would figure out very, very fast that you cannot, they would figure it out very quickly that you cannot award them with anything else. So yeah, I don't think that we have any, I have never heard of the research about the comparison e-auctions versus face-to-face. Peter, I have a couple of more questions to you. First one is actually related to the last one. It's to the last thing on the negotiation face-to-face and not running e-auction. But this is for the first example that you were giving us. 2.44 million versus 2.6 million is around 6% discount. Do you think you were not able to get more by classic negotiation?
In the first case, you mean?
Yeah.
Mean. But if you go back, I would say we went from 2.6 to 2.5 by commercial negotiation. So we get 100,000, but we have all the suppliers on board, and they are quite familiar with the procedures in Slovenské Elektrárne. So they knew very well that there will be final round, which is e-auction. So I can say yes, maybe it's a not good result. But the task was not to achieve the best result through the negotiation. The task was through the bid alignment and commercial negotiation to arrive to the point where you can launch the e-auction, which will create the real cost of the project. So I'm not worried about the commercial negotiation, because the commercial negotiation itself, like personal, was mainly dedicated to the challenging of the supplier. Look, in this point, your price is double, for example, as the market. So we get them know that they are far from the benchmark. And the most important in this phase is to show them that we know that they are far. And maybe if they realize that they want to change their mind, they do. If not, okay. If they don't do, because for the negotiation, I'm not showing how was the development of the bids after the negotiation. So for example, it could be 2.5, 2.6, 2.65 or 2.7. So then in this case, the result was much better. If you compare, for example, the bids that move from 2.9 to 2.6, for example. But of course, I mean, bid alignment and the negotiation in terms of the face-to-face negotiation is not important once you know that the final step will be e-auction. It's just the pre-phase, pre-warming phase.
Yeah, I understand. There was one. Thank you very much, Peter. Thank you for that one. One more question, and I think this is a really good one. So it's from Kacper. So how do you communicate to suppliers that they are taking a part in a pre-tender phase? This is still related to the first example. And after there are still going to be a chance for the others to join. So I understand, if I understand the question right, this is about, if you are a supplier, you're participating in a design phase of something, but then so you spend your time and effort and resources and your engineering knowledge and know-how into something that it will be published to the other companies. How is that with your suppliers? Did they?
Yeah, that would be the great topic for another webinar. We can go through the design to cost approach and what are the advantages, disadvantages. But of course, I mean, this can be the one side of the coin, but another side of the coin can be that they in advance understand what is the scope. They in advance can prepare themselves with the contracting of the supplier, sub-supplier, and the studying of the design and the trying the optimizing their solution to be best possibly prepared for the commercial negotiation.
Well, if that is the case, wouldn't that concern you then? That the suppliers they would design the solution that would favor them, and so that would limit your competition.
Yeah, that's correct. But in such specific, because you have to define or you have to divide the tenders which are launched based on the let's say defined technical specification and the scope based on the basic design or the detailed design. Sometimes the detailed design does not allow so many degrees of the variability that can provide the suppliers. But in this case, suppliers just participating in the tender, and they can pre-tender phase, and they can rise up their hands and they say, maybe if you do this one in this process or in this way, you are still in line with the basic design or the detailed design, but you can save part of the cost because you will meet your requirement, but with different technology. And this is sort of optimization win-to-win that, of course, in the civil works, basically there is no specific know-how. It's about the concrete, it's about the steel construction. You cannot change many things.
No, yeah, I mean this makes a lot of sense. I understand it very well. That it creates some advantages for suppliers.
Just to reply but directly to our participant is that basically I believe that there are more advantages for the participant from pre-tender phase rather than disadvantages. Of course, once we are speaking about a unique solution that is invented with some supplier, we usually, for example, don't take or don't apply this solution because this represents automatically the limitation of the market. And I cannot accept the solution that at the end of the day, during the tender phase, creates no competition. So we have to always, let's say, work and analyze carefully whether the solution which is provided by supplier during the pre-tender phase, especially in design to cost, will really bring the outcome that we are expecting, because it's not only about the optimization, but it's about even the evaluation of the risks. And this is the big risk. We cannot accept the solution on one side, which will represent the limitation of the market and the competition on the another side. So this is partially the reply to the participant. But really, I mean, if there will be interest, we can discuss about the design to cost. I can.
Well, that could for sure be interesting. I mean, that makes perfect sense. So you gain some extra engineering support at the cost of the supplier, would have some slight edge of the advantage from their competitors. That's something, and that's actually pays off. One last question here from Michelle, and so this depends on the industry, yes? In this case, the services goods are so complex and specific for nuclear that exchange of this info is better even for suppliers as well. If I understand the question right, this is like, if I understand it right, so that the time you spend with your suppliers designing the solution is so important, so because then you would be able to produce the very right specification of your needs, so that you would end up with the right purchase, and there will be no surprises at the end once you buy it. Specifically, that this is for seismic reinforcement of the building. So
yeah.
Quite important thing, I would say.
Yeah, and of course, I fully agree with the question. I mean, depends always about the complexity, of course, because even the nuclear power plant, just for the participant, is subdivided for the, let's say, nuclear field and nuclear island and conventional island. So, and everything starting from, let's say, turbine, it's like a conventional island, and you have a lot of projects in a nuclear power plant that are basically implemented in the conventional island of let's say nuclear power plant. So, and in this case, you are closer to the conventional purchasing rather than let's say specific and complex activities or works jobs for the nuclear island of the power plant. Of course, I mean, there are many of the implementations, many of the projects that we can do the modification of the scope or the technical specification, because would be risky even from the perspective of the solving, for example, the interfaces, because right here we divided for the part A and part B, but it's clear that we have to solve even the interfaces between the works provided by supplier A and the supplier B, which is matter of the risk evaluation. And of course, we sit with our project management and we ask them. We were trying to develop the solution that did not touch let's say the fluency of the project, the continuity of the project. So was perfect teamwork.
That's great. Peter, I think we're off the time limit anyway. So I don't see any more. Oh no, there was one more coming up. Yeah, that's exactly what she meant, what I meant, Jacek, thank you, or something. So just, no, so that's not a question. Thank you for your answer, Peter. I don't see any more questions. Peter, would you like to add anything at the end?
Probably something what I already start. So the e-auction alone doesn't guarantee the successful outcome of the commercial round. I mean, it's a lot of hard job, careful preparation, that brings the fruit, and of course, it's even sort of buyer intuition, what to use, which kind of auction use, because he can basically observe the reaction of the supplier. So they see how the buyers see how suppliers are motivated, what are their reaction, if they are calm or they are nervous, and so on. And sometimes this is the very nice piece of the picture of the puzzle that that's clicked to the overall, let's say, tactic or the strategy and selection of the appropriate type of the auction. So don't underestimate this one, and listen the buyer, listen the category manager, and do everything that gives you all the information that can support you in this decision. So this is my advice.
That's a good comment at the very end. Peter, I want to thank you very much for your preparation and for your time. I mean, we spent some time over the last, I don't know, 8 weeks or so, being in contact as much as we could just to prepare the material for our guest here. So thank you so much. I think it would be a good idea to perhaps prepare another one about design to cost. That is very interesting topic, and that's quite often part of the sourcing process as well, that we utilize suppliers' capabilities, their expertise, to engineering resources to help us get to the solutions that we want to have, even though they're not awarded with any business yet. This is still in the tender phase. So that could perhaps be something interesting to cover on the next webinar. So yeah, Peter, thank you so much. Once again, thank you so much for today. We'll definitely stay in touch. And for all of you here, all participants, thank you as well for your time that you were here with us for the great questions. I think it was quite intense in terms of how many questions we had today. And yes, we will invite you for the next webinar, probably within the next 6 weeks or so, as we usually publish webinars every 6 weeks or so. So stay tuned, follow us on LinkedIn, on our social media, and yeah, have a great day, everyone. Have a great afternoon.
Yeah. Have a good day, and once again, I apologize for all this inconvenience from the beginning. I hope it will not repeat again in the future.
Yes, technology sometimes is surprising for all of us.
Okay, so thank you all.
Peter.
Yeah, thank you for your patience. Goodbye. Have a good day.
Bye-bye. Have a great day.